Hope Hicks and Corey Lewandowski had an affair.
Trump, who otherwise seemed to treat Hope Hicks in a protective and even paternal way, looked up and said, "Why, you've already done enough for him, Corey Lewandowski. You're the best piece of tail he'll ever have," sending Hicks running from the room.
Trump took issue with a mustache.
"Bolton's mustache is a problem," snorted Steve Bannon. "Trump doesn't think he looks the part. You know Bolton is an acquired taste."
Trump's closest allies find him incompetent.
Trump's closest allies find him incompetent.
Steve Bannon called Trump's meeting with Russia treasonous.
The three senior guys in the campaign thought it was a good idea to meet with a foreign government inside Trump Tower in the conference room on the 25th floor with no lawyers. They didn't have any lawyers. Even if you thought that this was not treasonous, or unpatriotic, or bad sh*, and I happen to think it's all of that, you should have called the FBI immediately, Bannon said.
Ivanka Trump wants to be the first woman president.
Balancing risk against reward, both Jared and Ivanka decided to accept roles in the West Wing over the advice of almost everyone they knew. It was a joint decision by the couple, and, in some sense, a joint job. Between themselves, the two had made an earnest deal: if sometime in the future the opportunity arose, she'd be the one to run for president. The first woman president, Ivanka entertained, would not be Hillary Clinton. It would be Ivanka Trump.
Trump and Jared Kushner offered to marry the hosts of NBC Morning Joe.
Trump, changing the topic, said to Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, "So what about you guys? What's going on?" He was referencing their not-so-secret relationship. The couple said it was still complicated but good. "You guys should just get married," prodded Trump. "I can marry you, I'm an internet Unitarian minister," Kushner, otherwise an Orthodox Jew, said suddenly. "What?" said the president. "What are you talking about? Why would they want you to marry them when I could marry them, when they could be married by the president, at Mar-a-Lago?"
Trump rambled about his aid and oil to the CIA.
"You know, when I was young. Of course, I feel young. I feel like I was 30, 35, 39. Somebody said, 'Are you young?' I said, 'I think I'm young.' I was stopping in the final months of the campaign, 4 stops, 5 stops, 7 stops, speeches in front of 25,000, 30,000 people, 15,000, 19,000. I feel young. I think we're all so young. When I was young, we were always winning things in this country. We'd win with trade. We'd win with wars. At a certain age, I remember hearing from one of my instructors, 'The United States has never lost a war.' And then, after that, it's like we haven't won anything. You know the old expression, 'To the victor belongs the spoils.' You remember I always say, keep the oil."
Kellyanne Conway went job hunting on Election Day.
Kellyanne Conway had spent a good part of the day calling friends and allies in the political world and blaming Reince Priebus, the chairman of the Republican National Committee. Now, she briefed some of the television producers and anchors whom she had been carefully courting since joining the Trump campaign and with whom she had been actively interviewing in the last few weeks, hoping to land a permanent on-air job after the election.
Ivanka Trump revealed the secret behind that hair.
She often described the mechanics behind it to friends, an absolutely clean pate, a contained island after scalp reduction surgery surrounded by a furry circle of hair around the sides and front, from which all ends are drawn up to meet in the center and then swept back and secured by a stiffening spray. The color, she would point out to comical effect, was from a product called Just for Men. The longer it was left on, the darker it got. Impatience resulted in Trump's orange blonde hair color.
Jared Kushner calls his father daddy.
In business meetings, observers would be nonplussed that Charlie Kushner and Jared Kushner invariably greeted each other with a kiss, and that the adult Jared called his father daddy.
Trump's advisors believe him 100% incapable of being president.
Donald Trump's small staff of factotums, advisors and family began on Jan. 2017, an experience that none of them, by any right or logic, thought they would or, in many cases, should have, being part of a Trump presidency. Hoping for the best, with their personal futures as well as the country's future depending on it, my indelible impression of talking to them and observing them through much of the first year of his presidency is that they all 100% came to believe he was incapable of functioning in his job.
Stephen Miller was shockingly ill-suited for any White House job.
Other than being a far-right conservative, it was unclear what particular abilities accompanied Steve Miller's views. He was supposed to be a speechwriter, but if so, he seemed restricted to bullet points and unable to construct sentences. He was supposed to be a policy advisor, but knew little about policy. He was supposed to be the House intellectual, but was militantly unread. He was supposed to be a communications specialist, but he antagonized almost everyone.
Steve Bannon pushed through the Muslim ban to enrage liberals.
Almost the entire White House staff demanded to know, why did we do this on a Friday, when it would hit the airports hardest and bring out the most protesters? That's why, said Bannon. So the snowflakes would show up at the airports and riot. That was the way to crush the liberals, make them crazy, and drag them to the left.
Trump bragged about sleeping with his friends' wives.
Trump liked to say that one of the things that made life worth living was getting your friends' wives into bed. In pursuing a friend's wife, he would try to persuade the wife that her husband was perhaps not what she thought. Then he'd have his secretary ask the friend into his office. Once the friend arrived, "Do you still like having sex with your wife? How often? You must have had a better F***CK than your wife. Tell me about it. I have girls coming in from Los Angeles at 3 o'clock. We can go upstairs and have a great time. I promise." And all the while, Trump would have his friend's wife on the speakerphone listening in.
Trump eats fast food because he fears being poisoned.
He had a long-time fear of being poisoned. One reason why he liked to eat at McDonald's: nobody knew he was coming and the food was safely pre-made.
Rupert Murdoch called Trump an idiot.
Murdoch suggested that taking a liberal approach to H-1B visas, which open America's doors to select immigrants, might be hard to square with his promises to build a wall and close the borders. But Trump seemed unconcerned, assuring Murdoch, "We'll figure it out." What a F***seeking idiot, said Murdoch, shrugging as he got off the phone.
George W. Bush gave an explicit description of Trump's inauguration.
George W. Bush, on the dais, supplied what seemed likely to become the historic footnote to the Trump address. That's some weird sh*T.
Melania Trump cried on election night.
When the unexpected trend Trump might actually win seemed confirmed, Don Jr. told a friend that his father, or DJT, as he called him, looked as if he had seen a ghost. Melania was in tears and not of joy.
The staff calls the Trump sons Yuuuge and Quise.
His sons, Don Jr. and Eric, behind their backs known to Trump insiders as Yuuuge and Quise, after the sons of Saddam Hussein.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.